It's our stories. Welcome to a world where real stories sounds like a movie script.
Are you sure you know the person sleeping next to you? I was sure too, until one expensive gift turned into my worst enemy. I just wanted to make my wife happy with the new smartwatch, but instead of words of gratitude, I got dry numbers and graphs that revealed the ugly truth. The story is about how technology can ruin your life in a second, and what lies behind closed doors on business trips. They say that ignorance is bliss. I used to believe that. I used to think that trust was the foundation of a marriage, a solid concrete slab that you build your life upon. But now I know the truth. Trust isn't concrete. It's glass. It's beautiful, it's clear, and it lets the light in until the moment it shatters. And when it shatters, you don't just lose the view, you get cut to ribbons trying to pick up the pieces. My name is David. If you saw me a month ago, you would have seen a man who had it all. I'm 32. I have a career in logistics that pays the bills and then some, a house in the suburbs with a manicured lawn, and a wife, Sarah, who is out of my league. Or at least that's what everyone told me. Sarah is beautiful. Not just pretty, but the kind of beautiful that makes heads turn when she walks into a restaurant. Blonde hair, eyes the color of the ocean, and a smile that could disarm a bomb. We had been married for 5 years. 5 years of what I thought was perfection. We were that couple. The one that finishes each other's sentences, the one that hosts the best Christmas parties, the one that everyone else looks at and says, I want what they have. We were trying for a baby. We had names picked out. Leo for a boy, Maya for a girl. I had painted the spare room a neutral yellow just in case. Every negative pregnancy test was a small heartbreak, but we held each other and promised that next month would be the one. I was blind. I was so happily, pathetically blind. It started with a gift. Our 5th anniversary was coming up, the wood anniversary, but Sarah isn't the type of girl who wants a wooden carving. She's modern, active, always on the go. She had recently started getting really into fitness, running, Pilates, counting macros. She said she wanted to be in the best shape of her life before the pregnancy took a toll on her body. I admired her dedication. So I decided to splurge. I bought her the newest, top-of-the-line smartwatch, the kind with the titanium casing, the cellular data plan, the advanced health sensors. It cost me nearly $1,000, but I didn't care. Seeing her happy was worth every penny. I remember the night I gave it to her. We were at our favorite Italian place. Candlelight, expensive wine, the works. When she unwrapped the box, her eyes lit up. She put it on immediately, syncing it to her phone right there at the table. I love it, Dave, she said, grabbing my hand across the table. I'm never going to take it off. It's perfect. I tracked everything, I told her, proud of my research. Sleep, heart rate, stress levels, GPS for your runs. We can even share our activity rings. A little friendly competition. She laughed, that tinkling sound I love so much. You're on. Prepare to lose, old man. For the first few weeks, it was fun. We shared our data. I'd get a notification when she finished a workout, and I'd send her a goofy emoji. She'd mock me when I didn't close my stand ring. It felt like another way to be connected. A digital thread tying this together even when we were apart. Then came the Miami trip. Sarah works in PR, and she had a big conference in Miami. 3 days, 2 nights. It wasn't unusual. She traveled for work maybe 3 or 4 times a year. Usually I didn't mind. I'd use the time to play video games, order pizza with extra jalapenos, which she hates, and catch up on sleep. But this time felt different. A few days before the trip, Sarah was acting jumpy. She was glued to her phone more than usual. When I walked into the room, she'd quickly lock the screen or angle it away from me. I asked her about it once, casually. Work is just crazy right now, she said, running her hand through her hair. This conference is a nightmare to organize. My boss is breathing down my neck. I believed her. Why wouldn't I? Sarah was ambitious. Stress was part of the job. I drove her to the airport on a Tuesday morning. She was dressed in her power outfit, a tailored blazer, tight jeans and heels. She looked stunning. She also smelled incredible. A new perfume? I didn't recognize it. You smell nice, I said as I pulled up to the terminal. Oh, thanks, she said quickly, unbuckling your seatbelt. It's a sample I got at the mall, just trying it out. She leaned over and kissed me. It was a quick peck, barely making contact. I'll call you when I land, she promised. Love you. Love you too, babe. Knock 'em Dave. I watched her walk through the sliding glass doors, pulling her suitcase behind her. She didn't look back. Not once. I sat in the car for a moment, a weird feeling settling in my stomach. Not suspicion exactly, just emptiness. Like the air in the car had suddenly gotten thinner.
I shook it off. Stop being paranoid, David, I told myself. She's stressed, she's busy. I drove home, went to work, and went through the motions of my day. She texted me when she landed. Landed safely, hotel is gorgeous, going to be a long night of networking. Miss you. I sent back a heart. That night, I was lying in our big, empty king-sized bed. It was 11 p.m. The house was too quiet. The dog, Buster, was snoring at the foot of the bed, but the silence felt heavy. I missed her. I picked up my phone. I have a habit, maybe it's a bit obsessive, or maybe it's just boredom, of checking our shared fitness app before bed. It's a way of feeling close to her. I wanted to see if she had closed her rings. I opened the app. Sarah's data loaded. She had burned a lot of calories that day, walking around the airport and the conference center. Her move ring was closed. I saw her last heart rate reading, 65 BPM at 10:45 p.m., resting. She must be asleep, I thought. Good for her. She needs the rest. I was about to close the app and go to sleep myself. I set the alarm for 6:30 a.m. I plugged in my phone. But then the screen lit up. The app refreshed in the background. Current heart rate, 90 BPM. Time, 11:15 p.m. I frowned. 90? That's high for sleeping. Maybe she got up to use the bathroom. Maybe she was watching a scary movie in the hotel room. I watched the screen. 11:16 p.m., 95 BPM. 11:18 p.m., 105 BPM. My brow furrowed. 105 was walking speed, fast walking. Was she pacing? Was she having a panic attack? Sarah suffered from mild anxiety before big presentations. I decided to text her. Hey, hon, everything okay? Saw you're up. Can't sleep? The message showed delivered, not read. I waited. The heart rate didn't go down. It went up. 11:20 p.m., 115 BPM. I sat up in bed, the sheets falling off my chest. The cold blue light of the phone illuminated the dark room. Something was wrong. 115 BPM was a light jog. Why would she be jogging in her hotel room at 11:20 at night after a day of travel? Then it spiked. 11:22 p.m., 130 BPM. I felt a cold prickle of fear on the back of my neck. Not fear for her safety, not yet. It was a different kind of fear, a primal instinct, the kind of feeling you get when you hear a twig snap in the woods at night. I called her. The phone rang and rang and rang. Hi, you've reached Sarah. Please leave a message. I hung up. I stared at the data. 11:30 p.m., 145 BPM. Status, workout detected. The watch had automatically triggered a workout mode. It does that when it detects sustained rhythmic movement and elevated heart rate for more than a few minutes. I stared at the little graph, up and down, peaks and valleys. It wasn't the steady plateau of a treadmill run. It was oscillating. Intense bursts of cardio followed by short dips, then spiking again. 150 BPM, 160 BPM, 140 BPM. My own heart started to hammer against the ribs, trying to match the rhythm on the screen. 160 BPM, that is intense physical activity. That is sprinting. That is... No, I whispered to the empty room. No, David, don't go there. She's at a hotel. She's probably jumping on the bed? Dancing? I tried to rationalize it. Maybe she went to the hotel gym. Some people work out when they have jet lag or insomnia. Sarah had done that before, years ago. But she hadn't answered my text. She hadn't answered my call. I kept watching. For 45 minutes, the graph looked like a mountain range, violent, jagged peaks of physical exertion.
And then at 12:15 a.m., it stopped. Rapidly dropped. 130, 100, 80, 70. Back to resting. I sat there in the dark, sweating. I felt nauseous. My mind was racing through every possibility, trying to find one that didn't involve another man. Maybe the watch is broken, I thought desperately. Maybe the sensor is glitching. It's new technology. It happens. I didn't sleep that night. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, refreshing the app every 10 minutes, praying for an explanation that made sense.
Morning came like a hangover, even though I hadn't had a drop of alcohol. My eyes were gritty, my head throbbed, and the knot in my stomach had tightened into a hard, painful stone. The sun was shining through the blinds, mocking me. Everything looked normal. The neighbor was mowing his lawn, the coffee machine beeped on schedule, but my world had shifted on its axis. I checked my phone immediately. One new message from Sarah, received at 7:30 a.m. "Hey baby, sorry I missed your call last night. I was absolutely dead to the world. Must have passed out right after I texted you. Slept like a rock. Hope you slept well. Love you." I stared at the screen. Slept like a rock. According to the data, she had run a marathon in her sleep between 11:15 p.m. and 12:15 a.m. I typed a reply, my fingers trembling slightly. I had to play it cool. I couldn't accuse her yet. Not without proof. Data is evidence, but it's circumstantial. I needed to be sure. "Glad you got some rest. Weird though, I checked the app and it said you did a workout at midnight? You hit 160 BPM. You sure you didn't go for a midnight run?" I hit send. I held my breath. 3 dots appeared. She was typing. Then she stopped. Then typing again. "OMG, that is so weird. No, I was definitely sleeping. The watch must be glitching. I took it off to charge it. Maybe it freaked out on the charger. I'll restart it. Technology, right? LOL. LOL. She was lying to me. Or well, to my screen. I went to work, but I couldn't focus. I sat at my desk, surrounded by shipping manifests and invoices, but all I could see was that graph. I needed more. Heart rate wasn't enough. I remembered the GPS. Sarah had turned off Find My iPhone location sharing a few months ago. She said it drained her battery and she hated the idea of being tracked all the time. I respected her privacy. But the watch has its own GPS, and if it detects an outdoor workout, it logs the map. I logged into our shared iCloud account from my work computer. My hands were shaking so bad I mistyped the password twice. Access granted. I went to the health app data stored in the cloud. I looked for the workout from last night. It was listed as Other Indoor Workout. No map. Damn it. Indoor workouts don't trigger GPS tracking because there's no distance to measure. But then I remembered something else. The watch has a feature called Significant Locations buried deep in the system settings used to improve predictive traffic routing. It sometimes syncs to the cloud if the settings aren't locked down. I dug through the system logs. It took me 2 hours. I felt like a hacker in a movie, except I wasn't saving the world, I was destroying my own life. I found a location ping. Time, 10:30 p.m. Location, Coral Gables, Florida. I opened Google Maps. Sarah's conference was at the Marriott Marquis in downtown Miami. Coral Gables was 20 minutes away, a wealthy residential neighborhood.
I zoomed in on the coordinates. It wasn't a hotel. It wasn't a restaurant. It was a private residence. A large house with a pool in the back, hidden by tall hedges. I switched to street view. High gates, expensive cars in the driveway. Why was my wife at a private house in Coral Gables at 10:30 p.m. when she said she was in her hotel room sleeping? And why did she perform an hour of intense physical activity there? The nausea returned, violent and acidic. I ran to the office bathroom and dry heaved over the toilet. I knew. Deep down I knew. But the mind is a powerful defense mechanism. It clings to hope like a drowning man clings to driftwood. Maybe it was a work party, I thought. A private after-party at a client's house. Maybe they were dancing. If it was a party, why lie? Why say she was asleep? Because she wasn't dancing. I spent the rest of the day in a zombie-like trance. I went home early. I couldn't stand the polite chit-chat of my coworkers. I needed to know who lived in that house. I searched the address on property tax records. It's public information if you know where to look. Owner? Luxury Rentals Miami LLC. It was an Airbnb, a high-end short-term rental. My wife wasn't at a client's house. She was at a rental, a sex pad. The puzzle pieces were clicking together and the picture they formed was hideous. I waited for her to come home. The next 24 hours were agony. I had to act normal via text. I had to send emojis. I had to say, "Can't wait to see you." Every word tasted like ash in my mouth. When she finally pulled into the driveway on Thursday evening, I was sitting on the couch in the dark. I hadn't turned on a single light. I heard the car door slam. I heard her heels clicking on the pavement. The sound of the key in the lock sounded like a gunshot. "Dave," she called out, stepping into the hallway. "Why is it so dark in here?" She flipped the switch. Light flooded the room, blinding me for a second. There she was, my Sarah. She looked radiant, glowing. She had that post-vacation freshness. Her hair was slightly different, messier, sexier. She smiled when she saw me, but there was a flicker of hesitation in her eyes, a micro-expression of guilt. Or was I projecting? "How was the conference?" I asked. My voice sounded flat, robotic. "Oh, exhausting," she sighed, pulling away and kicking off her heels. "Presentations all day, networking all night. I am so glad to be home." "Did you fix the glitch on the watch?" I asked, staring at her wrist. She froze for a fraction of a second. "Oh, yeah, I think so. I restarted it. Haven't had any weird readings since." She began to unstrap the watch. "Actually, I'm going to jump in the shower. I feel gross from the plane. Do you want to order Thai food?" "Sure. Thai sounds great." She walked into the bathroom. I heard the lock click, then the sound of the shower turning on. She had left the watch on the kitchen counter, right next to her phone.
The sound of the shower was my signal. It was a consistent white noise, a curtain of sound that would hide my movements. I stood up and walked to the kitchen counter. My heart was beating faster now than hers had during her workout. My palms were sweating. I felt like a criminal in my own home. The watch sat there on the granite, innocent and sleek. The screen was black. I tapped it. It asked for a passcode. I knew her passcode. It was our anniversary, 1014. I typed it in. Unlocked. I didn't go to the health app. I didn't care about the heart rate anymore. I knew what that was. I needed communication. I needed names. I opened the Messages app on the watch. Sarah is smart. She usually deletes sensitive text from her phone. But here's the thing about technology. It's not always perfectly synced. Sometimes if you delete a thread on your iPhone while the watch is on low power mode or having connectivity issues, the cache on the watch remains for a while longer. It's a delay, a fatal flaw. I scrolled past my name, past her mom, past her boss, and then I saw it. A contact simply named S. Just the letter S. No last name, no picture. I tapped the thread. The messages were there. They hadn't been deleted from the watch yet. Yesterday, 10 a.m. S. Sen. My legs are still shaking from last night. You're incredible. Sarah, I can barely walk. I had to tell David it was a glitch on the watch. He suspects nothing. S. Good. The risk makes it hotter. Seeing you at the conference pretending we're strangers was torture. Sarah, I know. I just wanted to rip your clothes off right there in the lobby. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. The air left my lungs. Reading it, seeing the words, David suspects nothing, it solidified the betrayal into something tangible, sharp, and deadly. She wasn't just cheating, she was mocking me. She was laughing at my stupidity. But I still didn't know who S was. I scrolled up. I needed a clue. There were details about the Airbnb. The gate code is 4490. There were dirty texts, things she never did with me, things she said she didn't like. Apparently she liked them just fine with S. I kept scrolling back. 2 days ago, S sent a photo. The image was small on the watch screen, pixelated until I tapped it to load the full resolution. It downloaded slowly. First the background, the white sheets of the Airbnb bed. Then the figures. Sarah, wrapped in a sheet, smiling at the camera with a look of pure lust. And next to her, the man holding the phone. He was kissing her cheek, his arm was draped over her shoulder. I stared at the face. My brain refused to process it. It was a glitch. It had to be a glitch in my brain this time. I knew that face better than my own. I knew the scar on his chin from when we fell out of a treehouse when we were kids. I knew the shape of his nose. I knew the cologne he wore, cedarwood and musk. It was Mark, my brother, my older brother, the one who taught me how to ride a bike, the one who was the best man at my wedding, the one who stood next to me at the altar and handed me the rings. The brother who was currently engaged to a wonderful woman named Lisa. S, not for a name, S for sibling, or maybe a nickname, I didn't know. It didn't matter. My wife was sleeping with my brother. I didn't scream, I didn't smash the watch. I went numb. It was a cold, absolute zero numbness, the kind of feeling you get when you realize you've been driving towards a cliff and it's too late to brake.
I looked at the timestamp of the photo. It was taken 2 days ago. While I was home, feeding our dog, missing her, checking her heart rate, she was in bed with Mark. I heard the water turn off in the bathroom. The shower door opened. "Babe," she called out, "did you order the food?" I stood there, holding the watch. My hand was shaking so violently now that the metal band rattled against the counter. She walked out, wrapped in a fluffy white towel, drying her hair. She looked clean, scrubbed of her sins, or so she thought. She stopped when she saw me. She saw the watch in my hand. She saw the expression on my face. I've never seen color drain from a human being so fast. She went from rosy-cheeked to ghost white in a heartbeat. "David?" she whispered. Her voice trembled. I slowly turned the watch face towards her. The picture of her and Mark was still on the screen. "Tell me," I said. My voice was a whisper, but it sounded like thunder in the quiet kitchen. "Tell me this is a glitch." She opened her mouth, but no sound came out. She looked at the watch, then at me, then at the door, like a trapped animal looking for an escape route. "David, please," she finally choked out. Tears instantly welled up in her eyes. "I can explain." "Explain?" I laughed. It was a dry, dark sound. "You can explain how you slept with my brother? You can explain how you've been lying to me, to Lisa, to everyone?" "It just happened," she screamed, the dam breaking. "We didn't plan it. We were both lonely, and we just connected. It was a mistake." "A mistake is forgetting to buy milk," I roared, stepping closer. She flinched back against the wall. "A mistake is a parking ticket. Booking an Airbnb in Coral Gables and fucking my brother for 3 days is not a mistake, Sarah. It's a choice." "I love you," she sobbed, reaching out to touch me. I recoiled as if she were radioactive. "Don't you dare. Don't you dare say that word." I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw a stranger. The woman I loved was dead. This was just a shell filled with lies and deceit. "I have 10 minutes, I said, my voice turning cold again. "Pack a bag, get out." "Where will I go?" "Go to Mark's." "Oh wait, you can't, because he lives with Lisa. And guess who I'm calling next?"
She spent the next 10 minutes throwing clothes into a suitcase, sobbing hysterically. She tried to beg. She tried to blame me. "You were always working. We grew apart." But I stood there like a statue, watching her every move to make sure she didn't steal anything that wasn't hers. When she walked out the front door, dragging her suitcase, she looked back one last time. "You're ruining everything," she said. "I didn't ruin anything. I just turned on the lights." As her tail lights faded down the street, I went back to the kitchen. I grabbed a bottle of whiskey. I didn't even bother with a glass. Then I picked up my phone. I dialed Mark. He answered on the second ring. "Hey, little bro. What's going on? Everything okay?" He sounded happy. cheerful. The voice of a man who just had a great vacation. The voice of a man who had everything. I know, Mark. There was a pause. A long, static-filled silence. Know what? His tone shifted, wary. I know about Miami. I know about the Airbnb. I saw the messages. I saw the photo. Silence again. Then a nervous laugh. Dave, man, you're sounding crazy. What are you talking about? I was in Chicago for work. Don't. I cut him off. Don't lie to me. Sarah just left. She confessed. I have the watch data, Mark. I have the text where you talk about hiding it from me. I have the selfie you took in bed. I heard him exhale, a shaky breath. Dave, listen, please. It meant nothing. It was just sex. We were drunk and... Just sex? Interrupted. With my wife? You're my brother, Mark. You were the best man at my wedding. I know. I'm a piece of shit. But listen, Lisa, you can't tell Lisa. The wedding isn't 2 months. Deposits are paid. She's pregnant, Dave. She just told me yesterday. That hit me harder than the affair. Lisa was pregnant. Mark was starting a family while destroying mine. She's pregnant? I asked. Yes. Please, Dave, for the sake of the baby. If you tell her, she'll kill me. She'll leave me. Don't destroy 3 lives just because yours is messed up. The audacity. The sheer narcissism. He was trying to guilt-trip me. You destroyed your own life, Mark. You made your bed. Now you get to die in it. Dave, wait. I'll give you money. I'll do anything. I don't want your money. I want the truth. I'm going to hang up now, Mark. I'm sending the screenshots to Lisa in 5 minutes. You have 5 minutes to tell her yourself. Maybe she'll have mercy. I won't. Dave, don't you... I hung up. I didn't wait 5 minutes. I waited 2. I selected the screenshots, the photo, the text log, the heart rate graph, just for good measure to show the physical reality of their betrayal. I attached them to an email. Subject: the truth about Mark and Sarah. Recipient: Lisa. I hit send.
The fallout was nuclear. I turned off my phone. I didn't want to hear the explosions. I sat in my living room, drinking whiskey, petting my dog. The next morning, the world had changed. Lisa had kicked Mark out. She posted about it, vaguely, but enough for people to know he cheated. The wedding was off. My parents called me, hysterical. My mom was crying, asking why I had to air the dirty laundry and ruin Mark's life. He ruined it himself, Mom, I told her. If you take his side, lose my number. I haven't spoken to them since. Sarah tried to contact me through lawyers. She wanted alimony. She wanted the house. I sent her lawyer the other indoor workout data and the timestamps of her glitch. I sent the texts where she admitted to the affair. In our state, infidelity impacts alimony. She got nothing. She ended up moving back in with her parents in another state. Mark ghosted her immediately. He tried to crawl back to Lisa, but she was smart. She cut him off completely. It's been 3 months now. The house is quiet. Sometimes it gets lonely, but it's a clean kind of loneliness. It's not the dirty, suffocating loneliness of sleeping next to a liar. I still have the watch. I don't wear it. It sits on my dresser, collecting dust. Sometimes I look at it and think about how a tiny sensor, a piece of silicone and glass, saved me from living a lie for the rest of my life. People say technology is ruining our relationships. They say we spend too much time on our phones, too much time tracking data. Maybe they're right. But in my case, technology didn't ruin my relationship. It revealed the ruin that was already there. So fellas, here is my advice. If you buy your wife a smartwatch, pay attention to the notifications. And if you see a heart rate spike at midnight when she's supposed to be sleeping, don't ignore it. Trust the data, because people lie, but numbers never lie.
Thank you for staying with me until the end. How would you have acted in the protagonist's place? Write your thoughts in the comments. More fresh and controversial stories every day on my profile. Like and subscribe to this channel.